So ultimately this score is going to change. Instead of 999, it's going to go up to 1,250 points. And that's really to make room for these extra positive things that Experian are now saying that they'll include within the score. Credit reference agencies all have their own score. There's three main ones in the UK. There's TransUnion, Equifax and Experian. Now TransUnion score, that runs from 0 to 710. Equifax, they have a different score. Theirs goes from 0 to 1,000. And Experian had their own score that went from 0 to 999, but that is changing. So I've mentioned the major three credit reference agencies there. If you want to check your credit score in the UK, you're going to have to check it with at least one of those. We recommend really to check with all three, because if you're looking for credit or a mortgage, you can't guarantee exactly which credit reference agency the lender is going to use. So instead of using a score of 0 to 999, they're going to be moving their score now up to 1,250. So another thing that they're doing is restructuring the bands in which people fall into. There was a lot of negativity about how they named some of those bands. For example, poor and very poor is being replaced. And also they're removing all the red colouring and trying to remove some of that negativity around credit scoring. So as a consequence of all this, 44% of people will drop down a band. But the good news is 42% of people, so almost the same amount of people, will also move up a band. So you can see as they extend the bands up, there's going to be a bit of movement within those bands. Now this scoring system will be rolled out from November, so it's already happening. Now Experian have said that it's creating what they call a smarter credit scoring system. And the crucial difference in this new scoring system, and the reason really it's come about, is because it's going to include positive behaviours, crucially things like paying rent on time, but also reducing overdraft use. So ultimately this score is going to change. Instead of 999, it's going to go up to 1,250 points. And that's really to make room for these extra positive things that Experian are now saying that they'll include within the score.
So that's a really important point, because these scores you see with the credit reference agencies are just scores that they create. There's no one universal credit score. So what you're seeing now is Experian are using that information to change and potentially boost the Experian credit score for its users, or for some users. But when you apply for credit, do remember that the lender will access the report from one of these agencies and use the information there to create their own score, which they will then use to decide whether they're going to lend to you or not.